Imagine being 17 years old, on your way home from school, and you're about to tell your parents that you're pregnant. And you see your most outspoken uncle truck in the driveway. You walk inside, you sit down, you break the news. Mom's crying. Dad has a face of disappointment and anger. And your uncle stands up and starts clapping. Good job, Chandra. Your life is over. You might as well have a few more other kids and get on welfare. Can you believe that? He really believed that stereotype that teenage mothers would continue to have babies and get on welfare. He didn't realize is that his words are what propelled me to where I am today. Because that school district that kicked me out of 3 schools and where I walked across pregnant in 2015 inducted me into their Hall of Fame. And from that moment, I wanted to make sure that other young people didn't go through the same issues that I had to go through. The suffering, the pain, the not going to college right away, having to compare yourself to the other kids that might have went directly to college after you and had their life set up for them. I wanted to teach young people, focus on your education. So I started to work for a nonprofit organization. I started writing grants. I taught myself how to write federal and state grants and funded pregnancy prevention programs and served communities of color in Santa Clara County. And although those organizations were wonderful, I started to see what the real issue was. It was those unjust and unfair laws, those outdated policies that was culprit. And I started to see how nonprofit leaders and influencers work together with local politicians. So I started to get involved locally. I started to connect with local politicians and community leaders, organizing, helping other elected officials get elected into office. And I almost forgot. I became the vice president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, one of the oldest and boldest civil rights organizations in the country. And in leadership in that organization, I learned the scary truth about discrimination and race issues within some of our most progressive cities. We could think that we're progressive, but at the end of the day, those reports that I would see about the issues and the discrimination and racism that was happening in the schools and in the workplaces and in the community was very real. And I saw how one person can make a huge impact. And I wanted other people to feel empowerment. I wanted other people to know that they can do what I was doing. I was nobody special. I was a teen mom from the east side of San Jose. If I can do it, you can do it. So I started to sit on nonprofit boards. I got appointed to the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. I got elected to be a delegate for the California Democratic Party. And I got involved. I started doing more for my community. I wanted people to see that they can also do it as well. So what does sit at the table or be on the menu mean? Because if we're not on the table, then we will be on the menu. People that don't look like us will make decisions for us. So how can we all do that? Not only in this room, but across the country. You can sit on nonprofit boards, right? Really help them raise money, help them serve those communities that really need it, making sure that they're connecting with the communities and they're doing the work that that states in their mission and they're sticking to it. That's how your real leadership can progress these nonprofit boards in your community. For-profit boards. If you sit on a for-profit board, you can ensure that that for-profit board is working with the community that they reside in, and that they're listening to them, and that they're giving back directly. Elected office, I highly admire the elected officials. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. I work with many elected officials, and several of them are my friends, and I highly admire somebody that has the bravery to run for office, because it's not easy. Because people are looking at you, and they're looking at your life, professional life, and they're critiquing you, and you're under a microscope. So I highly admire elected people running for office, and also knowing that they're kind of going into the lion's pit, right? And also, that could be city council, right? Commission, like I mentioned earlier. I'm on the commission on the status of women and girls, and I've had the pleasure of working with some of the brightest women in Santa Clara County. And one way we were able to make change is that we were able to help the local jail, Elmwood jails, build up their libraries to make sure that those old books that they had from the 1980s, they had updated books, and that it wasn't used as a storage anymore, because jails were not made for women, if you didn't know that. So they didn't have the right facilities for women. So we were able to change that. And that's the type of empowerment that I want to show people, that those little actions and those projects can change somebody's life. Because imagine a woman maybe had a cycle of coming in and out of jail, could read a book that could change her life forever, that could change the trajectory of her life and her professional life, and just change it. Imagine that. And you had an impact on that. Those are the little things that we can do. Party delegate, now school board. I want to talk about this a little bit with you. So you know how I mentioned that I wrote a book called Black, Brown, and Political, Get Informed, Get Empowered, and Change the Game. This was a book I wanted to write because I had so many family members and friends coming to me during elections and saying, Chandra, who do I vote for? Can you just tell me who to vote for? Like, what do I do? Just tell me. And I didn't want it to work that way. What if something happened to me? You can't come to me every time we have to vote. You have to know who these people are. So I wrote a very easy book to read. It's very short, not too much political jargon, that speaks to the regular person and makes them understand the importance of us taking action, having a part in the political process. So a few years ago, and this is why I'm bringing it up around school board, because I had a young woman reach out to me that read my book. She wanted to run for office just a few years ago. But she went to an administrator at her child's school, and they told her she couldn't run. She wasn't qualified. She didn't have the credentials. She wasn't fit to be on the school board. And so she read my book. She's a mother. She's highly involved in her children's school. But that lady told her she wasn't qualified to run for school board. So those are the impacts that we can make. And that made a huge difference. I was so proud of that, and I was so happy. And now she's running for Alum Rock School Board. Now we lead to social entrepreneurship. That's near and dear to my heart because I am the socialpreneur. So what is social entrepreneurship? Social entrepreneurship is when an individual or a company finds an issue within their community or world, finds a solution, and makes a living doing it. I knew that my reach had to be bigger. I knew that I had a bigger message for the whole entire world. I just didn't know how I was going to do it. I knew I was creating major impact in my community, but how was I going to spread this message? And this is why I wrote my book, and this is why I started my business. I help women across the country get ready to build their platform to run for political office, and also teach them how to start nonprofits, run charities, and start and build their leadership within their community or in their business or in their company, so they have a seat at the table. Now let me tell you the risk if we don't take our seats. Congress will continue to look just like this. This is a selfie taken by a Congress member. Look at that. It really definitely doesn't look like this room, right? And the reasons why we should. Senator Kamala Harris questioning Kavanaugh just a few weeks ago. Can you think of any laws that give the government the power to make decisions about the male body. And she questioned him a few times, and he couldn't answer her. This is what taking our seat means. This is why it's so important. So I want to ask the question today, how will you take your seat? Thank you.